So if we're gonna make America great again.
I see where you at, bro. Welcome to another episode of Messy Medicine. We are 4 board-certified physicians, and we are here to combat fake news, myths with evidence. To my left, the lovely Dr. Barbara Joy Jones. To my right, Dr. Jocelyn Slaughter. And to my far right, my guy, Dr. Andrew Jimerson. And I'm Dr. Marc Jean-Gilles. All right. So today's topic is going to speak to Black America and, what are some of the issues we see in this country with Black Americans, and what are some things that could potentially be done to improve the plight of Black Americans as a whole. Okay, so Dr. Curves, let's start with you. What are your thoughts when I say that? What are some of the thoughts that come to mind?
Well, I think that number one, we need to address several deserts within the African American community. Mm-hmm. One is the food desert, okay, which contributes to obesity. Mm-hmm. And the other one is the healthcare desert in the African American neighborhoods, which lead to lack of access to quality healthcare facilities within those neighborhoods. So I think that if we can improve those two things, then that can. What you're looking at me like?
I mean, that sounds real PC.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
We need to get our stuff together. We need to get our shit together.
Ooh.
Like,
My.
It's hard to. I mean, I know it's hard to say, and I mean, we sit here, very elite. You went to Morehouse, I went to Howard, and went to HBCUs. We're physicians, but when I look at us as a whole, like just, financially, like we are scraping the bottom of the barrel of the races of in America. I feel like we really have to think about what we want as a community, and I feel like just economically, socially, health wise, I feel like we are just last. And yes, absolutely, we need better food, we need better health care, but we need a better mentality. Like, I think that there are subsets of us who are, got our kids in Jack and Jill, and there are some groups that are, HBCUs and sororities. I'm in a sorority, fraternities, but then there's a huge amount of Black people who are not in any of this. It's like not at all. And that's a big part that we need to fix, is not to get them in it, but just to get us overall trying to better ourselves as a group. How can we overall better ourselves, truly ourselves?
So I'll point this out. You are right. In a lot of things, I mean, health, globally speaking, Black Americans, not the healthiest. And it's going to hurt some feelings to say the truth, but we're physicians, we see it, right? Economically speaking, per household income, we rank last.
Broke.
Like last, you have.
Broke.
Yes. And then education-wise, last. And these things affect us, but yeah, what can we do? Because a lot of times what is put out there, is somebody else's fault. It's racism, it's the system, and so forth. These are things we have to address and ask ourselves, is this really the issue? Or is there something we can do to help the situation? We're going to talk about it shortly. Now, your thoughts, because, first let the audience know, about you.
So my father is 6'4", tall, Caucasian man, blue eyes, burns in the sun, from upstate New York. Mm-hmm. And then my mother is from Thailand. And actually there's colorism over in Asia as well, because she's actually considered darker complected with her nose and her lips and her face, and she was actually marginalized over there. to a point that when we were born, she would say, make sure that you stay out of the sun or put sunscreen on, because she knows that she was looked at as less beautiful as she is because of colorism over there. But in America, I was drawn to who accepted me. It was, when I was around, I guess, Asian people or white people, it was always very apparent that I was different. And then when I moved to Georgia in 1998, I was a freshman starting in high school, and it just—
Playing ball?
Yep, played basketball.
Okay.
Yep, I was a hooper, D1 athlete. Yep, full scholarship, full ride. And I was just accepted by the Black community and have never turned back, to a point that when I got into school, I'm an AKA, crossed in 2003, so 21 years in the game, and have been serving through community service and celebrating Juneteenth since for the last 10 years. And then also in our practice, the Healthy Woman primary care, 80% of my demographic are Black women. So that's who I serve and who I'm an expert in when it comes to health.
And you have 2 lovely Black kids.
Yes.
So.
Husband is very tall, dark, and handsome, and my baby's got 2 little Black babies. They're so cute, little twins.
All right,
The
good.
twins.
So
Yeah.
you have Black children, so we're
Yes.
just gonna keep, let our audience know, so they I don't want them saying, oh, she don't have no right. No, she has plenty of right, because she's raising her kids.
It's of interest to you, and to say, what do you think?
Well, and even though technically I'm not, I look like I'm mixed. So even when I'm stopped to get a ticket, they have put Black on there. And I think even when I was having my babies, the nurses put B on there. They didn't even ask me, they automatically assumed. So even though technically and genetically not, the way that I'm perceived by society is that I am. So some of the experiences can be that.
But what do you think about, the Black, where Black people are in America, and
now you trying to get your girl
Well,
in trouble,
no,
but go for it.
There's 2 parts to it. There is the part that being in slavery for 400 years, where people laid claim to land, and real estate is what makes you rich or not, because you can put your businesses there or even have real estate is a moneymaker. Starting off way behind. That there is that part of it, but then there also, like you guys were saying, is that there's a mentality. Well, we're here now, so what are we going to do now? I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's multimodal, and I think it's both.
I think that first you need to understand what the situation is. So I feel like America is like Las Vegas. What I mean by that is it's already rigged.
No.
So
So you saying I'm
rigged.
wasting my time at the craps table?
Definitely.
And roulette? Okay.
You're only gonna
I've
get
always
so
agreed.
far.
You're right.
only
You're
gonna
right.
get so far.
Come and think. Yeah, you're right.
You might be up a little bit, you might be down a little bit, but you're always gonna end up losing money.
Yes, I have lost.
And so I feel like America is like that. So that when we talk about systemic racism, you're never gonna win in Vegas. You're never gonna win in America as long as you don't control the system. Like if the healthcare, the education system, all these systems are rigged for you to fail. I mean, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, but in general, you're down. That is how it is. And so I think when we have been trying to play and win in this world, in America, and we're never gonna do it. And so I think that back during segregation, and I'm not suggesting that we go back to segregation, but I'm just
Go
saying.
back to Africa?
No,
We need to go to
but what
Liberia?
I'm saying is that when African Americans weren't allowed to go to, integrate, basically, we had our own communities, and we started to thrive because all of our money got kept. We spent it with each other. Morehouse was formed because we couldn't go to the school, and so we ended up starting to thrive until it was burnt down. But I do see other races doing that. And so they have their own communities, the Indian community, the Asian community. They have their own banks, their own, and you can just see the statistics, economics, that they're even higher economically. The average household income for a lot of the other races are way higher than Caucasian. We're one of the lowest. Even the Latino, like the Mexican, they're higher than us because they're shopping.
We
and
ranked dead last.
Right. And why is it? Is because they have a sense of community, and they're spending money with each other, and they're raising their status of income up. And even if you look at colleges, I mean, just look who's going to college now. There's a lot of Indian, Asian people, and so as the face of America changes, we're going to see that change. So what do we have to do? Come together as a community and start spending money with each other. That's the only way I think you'll do it.
I mean, I agree with supporting each other, right? But I want to push back a little. I'm gonna be
Controversial.
not controversial. If you could call it controversial, a lot of people may not want to hear this, but I look at data, right? And you're right. When we look at household income, that's what they look at. Household income, meaning in this household, who's getting the paychecks and how much is it?
Oh, I know where you're going.
Okay, now, the inverse statistic, meaning who has the highest household income in this country, it's Asians, right? Mm-hmm. Asian, Koreans, Chinese, Indian, they have the highest income per household, okay? And blacks have the lowest. Now, what do they have that we don't have? Well, they have the lowest single parent household rate. And they're at like 11%, 12%. Asian Americans. The black community is like, depending on what study you read, but it's like 63 to 70% single parent household rate, okay? And so if you look at who's second as far as household income goes, it's white people, but then they also have the second lowest single parent household rate at 27%. That's what it's been historically, followed by Latinos at 40%. And again, here we are, dead last. So I look at that and I say, well, that's data right there. That's not emotions. That's not speculation. That's just data. So there's got to be some correlation there. Logically, it makes sense. I mean, if the way they collect data is per household, 2 paychecks are usually going to be more than 1 for starters. But there's also benefits of just a nuclear family for children, for families, and that could be part of the problem too. So,
But wait a second.
Uh-huh.
These black men, they trying to get married. So wait a
That's
second.
a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother.
Talking about.
But also historically, hasn't it been that you couldn't get government assistance if you had a man in your
Exactly.
household?
yeah, so,
So it started out that I needed to have kids and be in my own household and receive this government assistance, but I couldn't have my baby daddy or my husband with me, so we lived separately on purpose.
So there were policies that systemically ripped households
yeah,
apart.
and I would say, so I wouldn't call it systemic racism. I think I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and say that these social welfare programs were done with the intention to help, right? This was like in the late 70s, they started taking effect. But I think as time went on, they've been more harmful because they do incentivize like a single parent household. And, it's affected black Americans disproportionately worse.
Okay, so let's get it back to medicine.
Mm-hmm.
If what you're saying is one of the causes of black reduction in finances or whatever is households not having 2 parents or whatever, being in the same house, married or not, whatever, then what if the solution could be just not getting pregnant until you have that household? So, as medical people, if the black community is prone to getting pregnant before they have that household, shouldn't that community be really, really encouraged to use birth control so that they don't end up in a single parent household with a lower economic state?
So
That should be a push.
I'm gonna say that's messy what you're saying.
Oh my goodness.
Because what you're suggesting is basically, sterilized.
I didn't
black-
say
Yeah,
I
you're
said
basically
birth
saying Planned
control.
Parenthood.
I said control. I didn't say
you're just on
sterilized.
some
I said-
Margaret Sanger.
Yeah.
I said,
exactly.
I said no, because this is what I tell my patients. Hold on. Stop. Time out.
All right, so what do you tell our patients?
I
Go
tell
ahead.
this is what I tell my women, my patients, my female
Uh-huh.
patients. I say, unplanned pregnancies and having a baby before you're ready
Go ahead,
to.
clean it up.
Nah, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm keeping this to my patients.
Okay.
Why I tell them when I want them to get on birth control when they're about 20 years old or so. I say when the earlier you have a baby, the lower your economic potential is. They've done lots of studies on this. When the earlier you have a baby, the lower amount of money that you can potentially make, like the lower your higher earning potential is. So that's why a lot of these government programs provide free birth control. A lot of counties do your free IUDs, because they know that they're trying to get people out of generational poverty. Because they're realizing that the earlier you get pregnant with unplanned pregnancies, the longer you'll stay in generational poverty. So that's why we tried that most people, all these counties, Gwinnett County, all these, that you can go and get your IUD, get your Micronor, your orthocycline, because they know that is how you can help a woman individually reach her higher earning potential. So if we know that we're not saying you cannot have a baby, but if you delay having a baby, that you can have a higher earning potential. If you have your baby at 18 versus your baby at 27, you'll make more money if you're at 27 than you have a baby at 18.
So
as a woman.
Do you think, like, let's take away race. Like, do you agree with that notion that, hey, use birth control until you're ready to have a child?
Yeah. Jordan.
I agree. If I had had a baby in high school or college or medical school or even residency, I wouldn't be where I am.
But personally, I don't think that that's race dependent.
It's not. And
See,
I don't
what
think
we're
it's
talking
race
about, I
dependent.
thought we were talking about.
But no. But so yes, it's not race dependent. But if for some reason the black people have a higher amount of what Marc said is households where there's only the woman there, then that means to me that maybe she was having a baby before she was ready to. You think that
I
she
don't
had
agree.
the baby when she was ready to?
I don't know. I think.
Why? Why
Well-
don't you agree?
Well, I mean,
You
if
think-
you're talking about teen pregnancies,
No, not teen pregnancies. Just you not ready. You 25 years old and you just weren't ready because this dude was not the dude that you want to spend the rest of your life with. You weren't on birth control. You had sex, and now he's your baby daddy. And now you're living in a house, in a single household with you and your baby.
Well,
And your
let's
baby
just look at the
moved out.
problem. So, I mean, like we said, before people were getting incentivized to have children and not have the dad in the home.
Incentivized?
by
Yes,
the government,
they
yes,
were
that's
incentivized.
welfare
Was
programs.
that an
It's
incentivized?
Yes, it was
To
incentive,
do it
meaning
before
that they
you
got more
pregnant?
money when the dad wasn't in the home.
Yes.
Yes, that
Or
is a
were they
fact.
incentivized to have the baby or incentivized to kick the daddy out?
To have more babies. The more babies you have, the more money you make.
Yeah,
So that's an
the more money you
incentive.
get.
Was
per
that
kid.
the incentive for the man to ejaculate in her vagina?
We're
Or
not
was-
going there, but all I'm saying is that if you have more kids, you can get more money from the government. That's
how
just
you
what it
having
is.
kids without
And
the
you can
money?
get more. And so, I think that is partly, I mean, and there's not like there's more African Americans on welfare system than other races, but that, that was an incentive. And so
Okay.
now these children have grown up without dads in the home. So it's not unnormal for them. See, we're always
They're
thinking.
used, so now you're saying those children are like, oh, this is normal.
Yeah,
So now
so-
they're
They
continuing.
just-
So, I mean,
yes,
it's just
yes.
like,
It's a cycle.
See, my thing is that I think you guys are OB-GYNs, so you kind of put a Band-Aid on the problem. See, I look at it from a non-OB-GYN
Okay.
standpoint.
I'm looking at
See,
it on
like
what I
if you
can
look
see.
at the statistics, right? You say, okay, the average household income for African Americans is the lowest, right? But we spend more than anybody. And so so what I mean is, if we took our spending power and spent it on our own community, it doesn't matter how many people are in the household. There would be more money in the African American community, period. And all of our household incomes would increase, whether you're single and the other thing is, and I don't know, like when you have these like rural towns, and then then Marc goes and gets an education, he doesn't move back to the town. He stays, out wherever, so then, that depletes the mentors, all the higher level thinking people for that community. The same thing happens in the African American community. How many of us live in African American neighborhoods? I don't. You know, do you guys? So I think that a huge part of the problem is that we've moved out of the African American.
Because it's unsafe.
So well, I mean,
let me tell you something. I grew up on King Drive in Chicago.
Golly.
And if you want me to move back home, last time we went home, my mama car windows got busted on Thanksgiving morning. It's not safe for me to go back home.
But what I'm saying is that
That's
is
what
part
I
of the
call
problem.
messy
That's
real.
what I call real.
I mean, it's
messy.
messy and it's real, but
Yeah.
I had to
but
come
it's
to Gwinnett
true that
County.
if we all lived, let me just imagine if we all lived in that community with other African. Now you have role models. The role model isn't the drug dealer, isn't the person the criminal. It's us, and that is a problem. I'm not saying we can. I don't know how to fix it, but I mean I just want to recognize the problem.
I do recognize.
I would say this again. I'm going to be data driven and take my emotions out of it, right? So, there are studies upon studies that will look at single parent households versus two parent households. They even have single parent household versus two parent household versus two parent adoptive parent households. They look at all this. And out of the households with the two parents, the two biologic parents, these are where you get, lack of a better term, your better performing children, right? They're going to do better in school, less teen pregnancies, better careers, make more money, better health, and less likely to commit crimes. So I want this to be clear to the audience because I mentioned this and people get sensitive. I'm not saying that there's no good kid that comes from a single parent household. That is false. There are plenty of good children that come from single parent households, and there are bad kids that come from two parent households. But if you take 1,000 kids from a single parent household and you compare them to 1,000 kids from a two parent household, the outcomes in regards to education, health, everything is going to be better out of the two parent
I have a
household.
real question to ask.
Go ahead.
So whose responsibility after the person is pregnant is it to get the two parent household? Is it the woman's responsibility to have them not get pregnant with somebody until she gets the two parent household, or is it the man's responsibility to stay with her after she gets her pregnant? Like, how are you gonna get this two parent household?
So I agree that I'm gonna just say this.
Because I feel like you're saying women need to be more selective.
No, well, I mean, I have two daughters, and you damn right, they're gonna be very, very selective,
So
right?
so it's on the women to be more selective to stop.
No, I'm just saying, my daughters. Yes, I mean, look, my
Women don't like the boring man.
We like the bad guy.
right.
We like
I was
the bad.
passed over in high school,
Me too.
but look at us now.
Exactly. We're winning.
We winning, baby. So no, but all jokes aside, though, everybody should be, black, white, whatever. Be selective, all right? Don't just date anybody. You have to look at the potential. Look at all that, all right?
So basically, aim to be in a marriage when you have children.
But why
Right.
can't you say, men, if you get a woman pregnant, marry her or live with her and
I will say
stop having
I will say
other
that
kids?
I will say, you say that's messy. Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna ask a messy question.
Go ahead.
Do you think ERA played a role in breaking up the
What's ERA?
equal rights for women?
Oh, stop! That is
Do you think? Okay, let me ask you a
The
question.
feminist movement was never meant for
Okay.
black women.
all
I
right.
told you.
Reel it in.
I haven't finished asking the question.
Go ahead. Ask the question.
Do you think ERA, and this, I'm not saying what my opinion is, I'm just asking this, okay? Do you think ERA, okay, so let's talk about our grandparents. So the men was out working, the women were kind of at home, right? Then you had this ERA movement. And then, so our parents, a lot of times our moms and dads both worked. And then the mom still had to come home after a whole day of work and still do all the stuff
Second shift.
Yeah, second shift. So I'm wondering, do you think that had played and then the next generation, now you see like, either the women, they want to, they either don't want to go back to work, they rather kind of go back to the way it was. But then the men, they're kind of like, you know what, I'm used to my mom, where I'm used to this, so I want to have a working woman, and then they're butting heads and stuff. I'm just asking, do you think that this plays a role in men and women getting together and being married and being happy and...
Well, see, so back to her point, you know, the feminist movement it wasn't intended solely for black women. And again, you know, I just look at what's going on with other races. So, I mean,
Okay, let me say something on this.
you know,
'cause
I don't know if that's going to explain it all.
I got a lot to say on this just real quick. So I think that the best ideal situation would be if if you had two parent household, and the woman did not have to work. It would be wonderful if she could stay home and be with the children, and that would be amazing. That would be amazing. And the man could work, and if they were able to live off his income, and she could just stay at home, and she could have money given to her, and that would be great. The problem is what happens why they didn't work is because when it was happening in the 60s and all that time is that the men were unfortunately using that money as a little carrot stick, and that they weren't giving the women money when they needed it. And then if they were, the women, if they wanted to leave or something, the women had no money to stand on their own. So then it became this thing where, women were encouraged to have money, because if you depend on your finances by another human, that human can decide whenever they want. They don't want to be using the money, they're going to get out. Then it was this whole thing. So that's why I think, yes, in a wonderful society, when you got two people who are all in, they love each other, that it could work. But if you're depending on another human for your well-being, I think that's the problem, that that women have to protect themselves financially.
Oh, I know why. I'm asking, do you think that's broken down the family dynamic? Do men not want to get married to these women now because they're kind of like?
Well, again, let's focus on the black community. I would lean more towards social welfare programs kind of kick-started this, because it's not just black people whose families were affected. I mean, the white single-parent household used to be like 10% before all of that, and now it's at 27%. So everybody, gets affected. We're just disproportionately affected worse, right? And so, all of that, feminism, for me, it's speculation. I just look at, we have data, we have numbers, and again, we have logic. I mean, just kids do better in a two-parent household. I mean, my wife, I don't see how she could do it by herself.
Same here.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you got 4 kids.
I got 4. Even if it was 2, she couldn't do it by herself. She has, it'd be super tough.
No, it
Yeah.
does. Okay, so you think that it's all about the family structure.
Yes.
You think it's about the financials.
Yeah, I mean,
You think it's more so about the money that we're.
I think it's both.
I think it's both.
I'm gonna be honest, but I think that even if you fix the family structure, you're still gonna have a problem. Mm-hmm. Because money talk and bullshit. Like, what I'm trying to say is that
money talks and what?
and bullshit walks.
All
And so,
right.
like, if you don't fix the economics, you can have 2 people. Because right now you have to have 2 people working. Everybody's stressed out. I mean, now if you're lucky enough to have a wife or a husband that makes a lot of money and the other person has to work, that's great. But that's not what most people have. They have both people have to work. They have to run around. The kids are stressed out. They get in fights. They break up. So but I think that if they had more money, then they'd have more time to think about other stuff.
Well,
Money helps fix everything.
Joy, would you like to add anything?
No, I was just thinking, even for us, we have a patient restriction that when patients come for appointments, they need to leave their children at home because it interferes with us caring for them. If you don't have a partner in the home to take care of those kids or the finances to watch your children, people just don't go to the doctor then.
Mm-hmm. That is true. That is true.
It definitely impacts a lot of stuff.
So I would say that it's not just money. There's resources, manpower, like teaching your kids to read, reading with your kids, somebody doing the homework with the kids, loving on the kids, hugging the kids. This is very important to produce well-rounded children who will, you're basically increasing their probability of succeeding in life, right?
The number one indicator for someone's health outcome is their zip code.
Yeah, I mean, it's their zip code, but where your zip code is going to depend on, your resources. And I'm just saying, one paycheck is not better than 2 paychecks.
Agreed.
Okay, or 2 people in the house is not better than 1 person in the house. Because even if the wife or the woman of the house does not work, there is still teamwork in taking care of the home in regards to children, regards to whatever needs to be done.
And you're right, the other race is actually intergenerational. You'll have 2 or 3 generations that even if someone is a single parent, they have parents or siblings or somebody else in the household
Right.
bringing another adult income in because they
Right.
work together.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's
I
huge.
think you just need to be real and be clear with what you're saying. Is that you believe that
Don't put words in my mouth now, Jocelyn.
let's keep it real.
All right, I'm gonna keep
what
it
you're
real.
what you're saying
Dave
is
Chappelle.
that as far as one of the big things about black people is that we need to have children in committed relationships.
Absolutely.
That so all this too and that if you're gonna have a baby, if you're gonna bring a life into this
Yes.
world, you should bring a life into this world where there's 2 individuals who are committed to raising that life
Right.
in a home.
I think that yes,
So
absolutely.
it's so almost to make it even more clear is just to say you should be you should be unionized or married before you
Absolutely.
have a baby.
Absolutely.
And that would help the black community if we would have more people married before now with us that's here. I was married before I had my baby.
You want me to keep it real?
Keep
I'm
it
gonna
real,
keep
real.
it
Okay.
Because I want to
100.
know.
Because we always hear all these talk about, yeah, king, this, and yeah, I'm a man.
Right.
So,
Were you married when you had your baby?
oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say something else. I think so.
No, look. No, what I'm saying is that a real man, okay, and this is it. You get a woman pregnant, you need to take responsibility, and you need to wife that. I don't care. Like, if she's imperfect, stop coming up with all the fuckboy excuses. You gotta handle yours, right? That, like, I'm not saying every woman is like perfect and doesn't have any fault, right? But what I see, based on my patients, what I see in my families, you see it in your families, we all have that, single aunt or whatever who is abandoned, or a sister-in-law or whatever, is usually the men that are just trifling. And you gotta stop, men, you gotta stop looking for excuses to abandon a woman. You've got to stop
her.
that.
Or stop shooting up the club.
Well, that too, but I mean,
shooting.
not
I have
every-
a different opinion, by the way.
well,
Use
hold on.
condoms. Maybe
when I'm
that's the
talking
thing.
Jimerson, are you hearing me? No, I'm just messing.
Maybe
but no,
condoms.
But no, my point is, look, the consequences of sex is a pregnancy. You get a girl pregnant, you got to deal with it. You got to be a father to your child. At OG, a long time
Not
ago,
just father. No, you're being more specific. You're
father
saying,
and a husband, be present.
You're
So
saying
yes,
marry this woman.
marry this woman, raise
create
your kids,
a
build,
home.
build.
That's going to help our community. So now,
Yes.
but let's just say,
But stop coming up with excuses.
Okay.
Because I see a lot of guys coming up with
but that
excuses.
also means that you can't be with women who are already in relationships. So like, like if this person is married or, it's you want to do the first one, her first baby, that's who you should be with. Because
Well-
sometimes when they have multiple,
Well,
it gets-
you're adding too many layers, and
It's layers.
it's complicated. But what I'm trying, overall, ideally, you get a woman pregnant, wife her up, raise that kid, build a life,
Live with her, move
live
in
with
with her,
her,
bring her
build
into your
that
house.
kid, work together, all right, and build a family. All right? And it's not
That's
at that.
gonna-
Listen, I'm a man. Look at me, I'm a man, right?
Man.
You look like one,
I look like a
at
man.
least genetically.
And look, right?
On the
And I'm
outside.
gonna tell you something else. In my household, I'm a king. I'm a good king. A good king serves his people. I serve my family. I work for my family. I do everything for my family. It is not about me. And that's what men have to understand. Once you are in that relationship, once you have a child, it is not about you. So once we can accept that and have a more altruistic approach, then I believe we will see things improve. Now, there's going to be a lot of guys out there, whatever. You see them on their podcasts, always,
I made a mistake. I didn't want
I,
to.
No,
I'm going to say this. I don't believe in villainizing people. I think that's kind of the problem, is that men get villainized. Okay, I'm not saying that there are not a lot of men doing the wrong thing, but there's a lot of women that are not doing the right thing too.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about just being an adult And I don't think that a kid being born necessarily means that the two people that made that kid are meant to be together for the rest of their life. And I've seen a lot of times when people get married to people that they don't love, and it becomes torture, not only for them, but also for the kid. And so I feel like, the two people, they come together and they should be a parent for that kid. Now, I grew up in a house with a mom and a dad. I am married too, and my kids were born after, I was married.
Yeah.
But I still believe that, if you and I had my loyalty is to that kid. Now, if we happen to get along and stuff, great. But I don't think we should just get married and we don't love each other. Now I'm mad at you. Everybody's cheating on everybody. Everybody's unhappy. I don't think that. I think that could lead to a worse outcome.
Well, but see, that's
Hopefully you would be together before you had the baby.
Yeah,
that's
but
ideal.
you're passing judgment on people. You know what I mean?
I am.
I
I'm
know,
so
I
petty.
know. But the
Go
thing,
ahead.
So
the
you're
thing about-
okay.
we're
So
talking
you're saying,
about
what if
make-
the condom
we're
broke?
talking
You
about
just
how to
having
make-
sex and you just the condom broke.
Well,
and you were
okay,
trying to be
so-
with this person.
we're trying to figure out how to make it better for.
So, yeah, I would just say this. I mean, I get all that, but your loyalty is to the child and so forth. But see, if your loyalty is to the child and you're not in the household with the child on a nightly basis, no matter how you slice and dice it, you are increasing the risk that child has some bad outcomes, right? It's just a fact.
It could be, unless it's like what if the man and the woman, they get in an abusive relationship? They're still together, but they're in an abusive. It just depends.
A lot of people will feel that way.
I think that from a mental standpoint, that kid needs to be in a healthy environment. And if the two parents are not healthy together, then they shouldn't be together.
Well,
But at the same time, that the dad has to be and the mom has to make sure that she is giving the dad access. It's two things. Maybe and we always say the man is absent. The man's doing it. Maybe the woman's not conducive to him wanting to come around her. You just don't know.
I will combat that. Listen, I've said before, not all women are perfect. But if we are really being honest, okay, there's studies on this. I know there's people on the internet talking about, oh, women cheat, they're just better at lying, whatever. No, the studies show that men are more likely to step out. And the reason why, we have testosterone. That's like our driver, right?
Yeah.
That just will drive you to automatically fall into something you shouldn't be in, right? So,
But they're falling into it with someone else. It happens to be a female.
right. Yeah, I mean, or
So-
if you're in Atlanta, it could be something
Yeah,
else.
shawty.
But no, my point is that, overall, I'm not talking about exceptions. Yeah, there's somebody out there who was a great guy and the wife cheated on him. That happens. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying overall, we need better commitment from
We're so
men.
far off topic.
Yeah, no, we're on top.
Oh,
man.
okay.
We're still.
So I think that what Mark is saying, because again, his focus is that he just feels like having the family structure
You have the family structure.
is going to help us as a black
Yes.
society. So we need to look at, if you get a woman pregnant, to really strive to create the family structure, which includes the two-parent household, instead of just being like, well, I'm gonna see the kid on every other weekend, and you do that because
It's not the same.
Right.
But who determines the family structure? I mean, the family structure, someone came up with a two-family structure, right? Where it's just a husband and a kid. But before that, it was a multi-family structure where the grandma, the aunts, everybody lived in the house together.
Mm-hmm.
And then after, all the Medicaid stuff, now it's a one-parent household so there's different types of family structures. Now, is the two-family structure the best, or is it the multi-family structure? What are we, should we have our grandparents,
Well, we know it's not the single mama structure.
Yes.
We know that one ain't it. That one ain't getting.
I would argue that the multi-family structure is
You
probably
may
the
you
best.
may be
But
right.
does the multifamily include the mom and dad? So I think it still includes them too. It just includes grandparents too.
Right.
I think the
So,
mom and dad are still in there.
Joy, what would you say about?
I know you kind of almost.
Yeah.
Well, you don't
Well,
count
I would say
multi-
the multifamily structure,
We talked
but there
about it.
has to be a demarcation of who's running this, because there can't be two roosters, can't be two hens. But the whole thought process of financially pulling, because there's certain races that actually they all pay like triple, quadruple the mortgage, pay that off, that family gets it, move on to the next house, and everybody's a homeowner.
Maybe we need to look at a multi-family structure where you do have people in there, because the single mama structure is not getting it. We know that one's not getting it.
Because I even know what my kids, as a twin of 1-year-old twins, if I didn't have my family there to support me, I don't know how I would do it.
Does your family live in the house?
They don't live in the household, but they may as well.
Right.
And imagine if they were living in the household and paying half the rent and food and all that, then you would be so far ahead.
Well,
Man.
Agreed, right? That may be true, because it does. We've heard the proverb, "It takes a village," right? But with that said, the studies, what we do have in studies is we do have 2-parent household versus single-parent household, and like that's what Jocelyn's saying. I think that the single mamas, it's not easy. It's not saying it's impossible. Again, because I people are going to misconstrue this. It's just there are more problems to come out of a single-parent household with their children versus a 2-parent household. So we have to first get back to a nuclear family. By a nuclear, 2 parents, mom, dad, and children, right? That is what the data tells us, right? And then you can have ancillary help with grandparents and aunts and uncles if need be, and that would be great too. So
it's nice to talk about it, but what do you do? Okay, you already have millions of people there in single-family houses. So if we're gonna make America great again,
I see where you at, bro. All right, go ahead.
because it's not great right now.
Okay, go for it.
Then what do you suggest that we do?
So
I mean, you can't just say, okay, and everybody who's not married, just go get married. So what do you do with these kids?
Well, for starters, I mean, that's part of it. I think that's the family structure is a big part of it. The other part is we have to start asking ourselves, do we have a toxic culture, right? And I know, people are going to say, well, white people do it too. White people have toxic music. But it just seems like, we just overdo it, We have a lot of music that misogynizes women, so not only are you dealing with a lot of kids in single-parent households, but they're listening to this music, there's nobody to check them on it, and now, young men think all women are bitches and hoes, a lot of young women thinking the move is to get a BBL and go on the gram.
Hey.
I'm sorry, I just, you're part of it, so you guys...
Okay, now you're coming up.
No, I'm just messing with you, but I'm just saying that this is a culture where, like, if I debase myself, show my ass, if I cuss...
I don't think getting a BBL is debasing.
No. Debasing meaning posing on the gram and in the thong and twerking. You've seen it. I've seen it. You've seen it. Come on. So...
Well, some people are making money off of that debate, paying bills.
Right, that may be. I'm just saying, but like we do have a lot of toxic stuff, and we have to stop acting like music doesn't influence minds.
It absolutely does.
Right. But some people will say, oh, it's just art. Nobody, I've always heard this analogy. Well, it's just art, right? Like I can watch Scarface. Yeah, I could watch Star Wars. I don't think being a Jedi is real. I know that's like a fantasy, right? But to a young kid growing up in an urban area, talking about, shooting other people, drugs, misogynizing women, glorifying a thug life, I mean, to them, that's real. They're going to misinterpret that as real and not consider it, fake or art, right? So it does influence minds in a negative way. So perhaps we have toxic culture. If you're asking me what can be done, I mean, that's a discussion we could have. I would like to see laws implemented that incentivize a family structure. You had welfare that incentivized a single-parent home. Perhaps there's something that could be done to incentivize a family structure. I don't know what it is, but I do believe that, one, that we need to get back to stronger families. We need fathers to live with their kids and just work on building. Marriage isn't perfect. Marriage isn't easy, but it's worth it, and it's something you build
Marc
on.
for president.
Yes.
Mark
King
Obama.
of his house.
But I do still also agree that we need to keep our money in. We need to bring some of that money back because we have money. Like many of us have jobs, and like he said, it's just flying out. It's just gone.
And to his point, like, we do spend the most, so, but I think,
Maybe if we didn't.
are we influenced to spend that much? Like, it's almost like the culture we live in, it's like, it's not just black people, but it's almost a materialistic culture in society, and it's like, oh yeah, I got, these chains on, I got the Prada on, and now this is Eastside Golf.
Okay, I can say that.
But I'm just saying, we pursue, and sometimes people overspend more than what they should on
Have you
something that's
seen
not
these
needed.
So
Proms?
one of the things I think we could do is like what 50 Cent did. Like he basically bought up a whole street or like neighborhood.
Shreveport, right?
So there's all these athletes and millionaire African American men, and it's not. I mean, those are just the ones we see. There's a lot of people with money, and I think we can start investing in our communities and creating whole big communities where we spend money and together. And I think that is a start. So I think like what 50 Cent did was excellent, and if we have more people doing those things,
Agreed.
then we could give each other jobs. Like I employ a lot of African American people.
Me too.
I give opportunities to nurses that wouldn't have opportunities, to MAs. So it's like when you have one of us, like an owner,
Absolutely.
then we bring along a whole bunch of people and that wouldn't have the opportunity if we weren't here. So I think we need to keep doing that. And I think over time, it's going to take probably 50, 100 years, but we could do it.
Jocelyn, final thoughts?
Absolutely. I think that we have to come together and look at this as a priority. I would love when my kids grow up that they don't have to hear that we are at the bottom of everything, of every economic, every health. I just don't want them to have to hear that. And I hope that, we can continue. All of us are entrepreneurs right here. We all have children. And so I think that we have to be honest with ourselves and to know that there's work to do. And I'm glad that all of us are doing the work. I think we're all doing the work by being good examples and business owners.
Joy, final thoughts?
I'll just piggyback. I'm doing my work. 80% of my demographic and my practice are black women, and I put them on a pedestal and treat them with love and kindness, whereas in other parts of healthcare, they are marginalized and not taken seriously. And then I'm raising a little black girl and a little black boy, and so I'll do my best with them.
There you go.
Make them contributing citizens to society.
What I will say is, I will stand on the fact that I believe that we need to get back to stronger families. And, perhaps culturally, we could hear more music, see more media that emphasizes it, glorifies that instead of something else. And I think from there, you will have more productive kids. And I don't think it would take 50 years. I think if every black man who has fathered a child with just one woman, right? Because there's, there's black men out there and men out there in general who have multiple baby mamas, but if they at least stayed with the women that they got pregnant, at least one of them, or whatever have you, and raised that child together, I think in 10 years you would see a difference, because that generation would be raised differently, have better outcomes, and I think you, and I all have been raised in two-parent households, and look where we are. And it's not because we're special, it's just that environment gave us the best opportunity, and that's the best environment for all children to succeed. On top of that, yes, we could do better with what we read, what we hear, what we watch, and replace negative influences with more positive, inspiring thoughts. So we got work to do, but we can control what we can control, and then if we do that part, I think we'll be okay. All right. That's our show. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Messy Medicine. We hope that you had fun with us. And if you enjoyed it, please subscribe, drop a comment below. We'll answer you. You want to troll us? We'll answer too. It's all good. We can get petty too, So,
Not me, I don't get paid.
no, it's like, that's it. Until next time. All right.
Woo!